This is my second part of the PSP GO internal microSD card mod. In this video I take apart the PSP GO, remove the main board, and get it ready to install the adapter. Please watch. So today's the day we open up the PSP. I'm going to remove my protective shell. It's been keeping it safe for all of these years. Look at that. I ended up picking up this off of, I think, Amazon or possibly a local retailer. It's been in really good shape. The rubber's, in good condition. The system itself is, it's been well enjoyed. And of course it still works properly. There you go. Can't really see, the backlight's a little dim. Let's see if I can turn that up. There you go. Perfect. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to shut it down. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold up on the power button for 10 seconds. Does a hard shutdown. Next thing to do is to remove the screws. So the back has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I use this little cheap Star Phillips screwdriver that I got from China, just because it's got a really long handle on it. I do have a lot of those micro set screwdrivers that I frequently use for a lot of other things, but in this case I didn't want to fumble around with other parts. And then there's 2 more screws on the top. 1. And of course these screws are a little shorter than the ones on the back, so be sure to keep them separate from the other 4. And 2. Okay, so this will completely allow for you to take the black plastic off. It just kind of clicks in lightly around the sides and along the top. If you just work your finger around the edge, even maybe a nail or one of those little spudgers or a guitar pick, it'll allow you to get your way around it and open it up. Bada boom, bada bing. Just like that. Okay. Inside the back of the PSP, you can see I've already been in here before. You can see the little void sticker. Let's see if I can get a little closer to that. You can see void, 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 void. That's because there was a little black tamper sticker that I've since removed, and I've replaced it with a piece of this non-conductive tape. So I'm going to pull that off. Done. And then I'll see what I've got here. I've got a couple little edge and lifting tools. This one right here, what we'll do is, first and foremost, we're going to take the shoulder buttons, left and right. These have 2 little ribbon cables here. We're going to lift up the little tabs and remove that. Let's see if I can zoom in there. And we're going to just lift this little tab. And in doing that, we can pull out the ribbon cable. Grab a pair of tweezers, and then that one's out, and then we'll go over to the other side and lift up this little tab here, and I'll pull that ribbon cable out. Oh, look at that. My tweezers not gripping properly. Huh. I must have used them too hard in the past. Okay, well, let's give them a little bend and pull that out. There we go. And then we've got the battery back on the other side. See if we can pull that out. Just grab the connection. And I believe it's a pry up, and it is. Pry up. And move the battery. Okay, so now at the bottom, we've got a couple more screws. We've also got a couple screws at the top for the shoulder buttons. You know what I'm going to do is I think we should do the shoulder buttons first. Now I'm going to get a little case to put the parts in off to the side. I'll just go wide here and you can see the whole table. And I've kind of got myself a clean space so that I don't accidentally lose anything. So I'm going to take the right shoulder button, and I'll take the little spacer, and we'll take off the shoulder button itself. I should just lift out, done. We'll go over to the other side, and we'll undo the screw. I'll take off the little spacer here, and then the shoulder button itself. Okay. Next thing to do is go to the bottom and remove these two little Phillips screws. And the one on the other side. And this bottom piece should come off. A couple tabs. It's easier to try and kind of pull out and up at the same time to get it out. Okay. The next thing is we've got the headphone connector and the joystick here, the analog stick, and they're being held in place by two Phillips screws here at the bottom. So we're going to take out those two Phillips screws. These ones here are black, a little easier to not get confused with, but you know, I always recommend having a little compartmental container so that you don't have to worry about having your screws mixed up. There have been other systems in the past that easily can confuse the screws and their different sizes. So this allows the joystick now here to be free, as well as the headphone jack. I'll just pull back the headphone jack. And this one here is just a pressure fit, so I'm going to just get in there and just pull it straight out. Let's see if I can do it with my fingers and just pull. Perfect. There's a little discoloration on this headphone jack. It shows you the last time I've actually, had this thing apart for a cleaning. I don't think I've ever actually cleaned it, but it's definitely seen some rain. I'll put that in my container, and then here's the joystick. It's off. Fold that down. The joystick itself, it has another little tab, so I'm just going to flip up the tab and pull the joystick out. Perfect. Okay. Now that leaves a little screw here at the top. Now if we take a look, this screw actually goes under this piece of plastic, and under that piece of plastic is this green ribbon cable here. So that green ribbon cable's got to be removed first before we can get into any of that. So I'm just going to give a little tug. It's a pressure fit. It's also got some adhesive on the back to hold it in place. So I've got that out of the way. And now I'm going to go back and remove that small Phillips screw. And yet again, this is getting put in a little container off to the side. So now I'm just going to take a quick inspection and we'll do it together. We'll walk around the edge. So that screw's gone, that screw's gone. There's no screw there. There's no screws here. There's a little ribbon cable holding something here. So you know what I'm going to do? Just to be proactive, so I'm going to see if I can pull that out. Just because I don't want to snag anything. Actually can't pull that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that there and see what happens when I disassemble the board some more.
And walk around the outside. I'm not seeing any more screws, and go back up with the battery connected, and there's no more screws. So I have a strange feeling that this board should just lift out. Let's see here. No. I feel there's some resistance going on here. Okay. I'm going to remove this ribbon cable from this plastic board. Store it off to the side. That's fine, that's now gone. Oh, there we go. I had to pull down a little bit while I lifted it up to disengage everything. I see here the monitor ribbon cable travels across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lift this sideways and just make sure that nothing's in place. So I see that that cable that I tried to get rid of needs to be removed, and then the ribbon cable will come after. So I'm going to just get my fingernail in there. Yes, it's always nice to have a fingernail. And see if I can pull that out. That's not coming out. Let's see if I've got a tiny little pair of pliers. There we go. I just kind of put it on the side and was able to force it a little bit. This is now giving me access to remove the board completely. What I'm going to do is, as I separate the board, I'm going to get my nail underneath there to lift the video cable connector off. There we go. That's free. So now I can sit the top half away from the motherboard, and then we can take a look at the motherboard. So I'm going to put that off to the side, and the motherboard I'm going to flip over, and let's see exactly what we're working with. So here's the controller port, the arrow directional keys, and the MicroSD M2 card slot. Let's just make sure it is the right one. I'm just going to make sure, test. Yep, that is the memory card slot. That's going to get removed. So back in here. And there it is. Okay. So, what my plans are going to be is to take off this and move this to the side so we can see better, and replace it with this. They're almost the same size. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can just sit them on top of each other to show a comparison of size, and they're almost identical. So this seems like it's going to be very favorable of a mod. I don't actually see much overlap at all, like that extends beyond it, and this is gonna be good. I think my biggest question is going to be how to connect these pins here to the board on the motherboard. So next step is removing this micro or M2 memory stick port. So we'll go back to what I was doing the last time. We'll get a bunch of flux on there and we'll look to remove it. I'm going to take a couple pictures before I start. That way I have this sealed in for prosperity's sake. Not to mention, if I have to go back, it's always nice to have photos to ensure that you can reverse your process. What do we got here? Done. Okay, soldering iron's hot. I'm going to zoom out just so we get a slightly wider area here. And I'm going to get my rosin flux pen, and I'm just going to tap all of the ground points around the outside. It looks like there's only going to be a few things here that get in the way.
At this point in the video, I'm going to venture a word of caution, because moving forward, I actually do a very poor job of removing the card slot off the board. I'm going to leave it in the video, but please, if you're following along at home with your own PSP, just stop and watch the rest of this. Also, I always recommend you watch the complete video before you do any projects based off of YouTube videos. Thank you.
And of course, once we're done, we're going to clean this all up, so we don't have to worry about this even through the board. Let's just see. So it looks like there's solder points all around the chassis. So I'm going to just take a razor blade and the soldering iron and just see if I can lift them one at a time. And the soldering iron is probably going to be a good direct approach to this.
Now what I probably should have done here is used some fresh solder with the flux in it, just to kind of try and get the solder flowing on these ground points. Now this is the beginning of my bigger problem that you'll see a little later in the video. Please keep watching, because I'm not going to take away from it. I'm just going to speak up at my my point of error, and we can use this as a learning experience together.
It's crazy. Well, you understand this is also a ten-year-old circuit board, right? So it's had lots of time to settle. The one thing I want to be careful of, there's a little, looks like a little diode there that I don't want to hit. So I'm going to try and flex my ambidextrous abilities and see if I can attack this from two different sides. Perfect. Good. There we go. Looking good. Uh-oh. I damaged a bit of the ground trace here when I pulled off the board, so that's not the greatest. But I did remove the outside shielding. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. I'll make sure that the only parts I'm touching are the parts that need to go. Okay, so this all seems to be floating on top of the board. There's no connections there. I do see right here there's a good number of contact pins, so that's where we're probably going to put the unit. I'll take a couple more pictures. Let's see what we can't do with lifting these.
So this is the part of the project where it goes truly wrong. I should have put additional solder on those pins. I'll do so probably shortly, but what you're going to see is my pressure on that first pin is going to cause the pad to rip right off the motherboard, right there. So I've jumped ahead in the footage, and what I'm doing is I'm applying fresh solder to the contacts, and it's going to make removing the rest of the memory adapter rather straightforward.
I'm sorry about putting my head in the way. Okay, so I've got 10 pins here. The question is, how many pins did I have? 1, 2, 3. Did I remove a pin I shouldn't have, or did I rip a trace? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13. How many points are on the back of this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 pins, that's crazy. Okay, so I'll have to go back to the photos. I'll take a look what's going on here. Perfect. Let's see if we can clean this up and get a better look at it.
So as you can see, I was a little thrown off by the number of pins when I was counting through. The remainder of this setup project is just cleaning off all the old flux and any dirt and debris, and the next step would be to install the card adapter. I am going to have to take a hiatus on that because I need another PSPGo motherboard, which I'll be ordering shortly. But I hope this video proved useful for some people, and please comment, and I do apologize for all of the shots of my head. Thank you very much. All of your comments are appreciated.